to sort of get it ready to take all that sort of weight. You'll soon start losing some of that weight on the trip, of course, as you eat and you lose water and other things, but it's something that you shouldn't lose sight of anyway. Keep a very close eye on what you are putting in the vehicle.
We have thrown an aircon belt, and in the process of doing that, it has destroyed itself. So you back off the tensioner, wind down the adjuster, feed it back over the top of the fan, and obviously being wary that the motor is still hot, so there is going to be some very hot components of it. Get back over the bottom of the idler, over the air conditioner, and wind up the adjuster. And finally, but not least, tension back up the adjuster again. All complete and back on the road again in a short amount of time.
It's bearded dragon. Oh wow. Oh, he's beautiful.
He's gorgeous. So dainty on his toes.
Let's give us a quick rundown of what's happened.
Came from Birdsall. Made it camped about 60 clicks past Mount Popple, or Popple Corner. Went well, just going up that little rise up there, horrible noises from the engine. Horrible noises. So my buddy went off to Mount Dare to pick up the recovery truck. And we'll fix things from there. No great problems. I got food, water, and good cheer.
Beautiful, thank you.
Okay.
Magnificent, isn't it? I reckon the Simpson Desert is definitely one of my top 5 four-wheel drive destinations in Australia, and I think it's a place that every four-wheel driver needs to get to. The only thing to be aware of though, like most of the best destinations in Australia, it's a big long drive to get here. And for those of us pushing 4.0, one of the things we have to start contending with at our age is back trouble. Now the problem with a lot of seats in vehicles is they're really built for comfort. There's very little support for the back and particularly for your spine. So what tends to happen is that because the seat itself hasn't got a lot of support in it, your back muscles are basically supporting your spine, and what that can eventually lead to is some lower back trouble. Now the last big outback trip I did, I think I had about 3 or 4 physio sessions to get over it, so I wasn't going to make that mistake again. And I was talking to Dave from Kmart about it, and he made a recommendation to put some Recaro seats into the vehicle, which is what I did about a week ago, and I really cannot get over the difference. The additional support these seats give you, you really need to drive them for a week to experience them. They're fantastic. What you tend to find is when you sit in the seat, you don't necessarily think straight away, oh, what a comfortable seat this is. The thing is, when you've been in there for a few days, you'll really, really notice the difference, and that big difference is you'll get out at the end of the day and you'll feel as fresh as you did at the beginning of the day. They really are a sensational investment in looking after your lower back.
Next up, it's the Ask an Expert segment.
Thanks, Simon. This week's question comes from Josh in Mount Compass, South Australia, and he wants to know, how can we ensure that outback fuel is clean? Well, it's a great question, Josh. With modern diesels being so sensitive, it's very important. Let's check out with the guys from Berrima to find out.
Hi, I'm Michael from Berrima, here to talk to you guys about diesel. As you get further out, sometimes quite often the diesel can be contaminated, particularly with water. There's a lot of these areas are very, very flat and can be prone to flooding, so some of the tanks can quite often get water into them as well. So it's a very, very crucial part is having clean diesel. When you're going to the outback, carrying extra filters and things like that is a very, very crucial part. So it's very, very, very important to check on the fuel that you're getting, and having proper filters in place and good filters is absolutely crucial to having a successful and enjoyable trip.
That's part of travel. It also means filling up from jerry cans and also possibly filling up from 44-gallon drums and other fuel containers. One of that means is you're going to need some means of getting the fuel into your car. A funnel is the obvious answer. This thing has a special permeable membrane in it that actually stops water getting through. When you mix petrol or oil on top of water, the water actually is heavier, so it sinks to the bottom, and the fuel floats on top. If you ever poured water on top of a jerry can or anything, you'll see what it looks like. This thing has the ability to actually filter or break that down, so all that's left inside here is the water or the bad stuff. Now that's really, really important, because water in your fuel can cause enormous damage to your car's engine. This is a great thing to use, and it's something just part of travelling in the bush, something you should all know about.
For asking that question, you've won yourself a Piranha diff breather. You're also in the running for the wholesale heavy-duty valve body converter lockup and temperature gauge kit, the Lightforce 50-watt 170mm striker driving lamp kit, and the RFI antenna pack. For full details, visit the Your 4x4 website.
Our first entry this week is this well-decked out Land Rover Discovery. Purchased stock as a rock, it's now set for some great touring trips. Next is this tidy looking 70 series. With a custom tray and running on 33s, it's great for runs along the beach. This shot was taken on a trip with the Down South 4-Wheel Drive Club. Now I think this is our first entry from the US of A. The Jeep is well loved as it does everything from getting the groceries to driving every track at Moab. How's this for some action? This GQ Patrol has a carby-fed RB30 and loves getting out in the mud in far north Queensland. And our last entry is this GU Patrol, currently set up fairly mild for towing the camper trailer, although there are a few mods on the way. This shot was taken on the south coast of New South Wales.
If you've just seen your photo and you're the first person to email Danny, you've won yourself the Projector 6-metre 750 amp booster cables. You're also in the running for a Berrima diesel DP chip, the best way to boost diesel power, and the Travel Buddy oven, the easy option for hot food when you're in the bush.
Okay, so here we are, we're right well and truly into the Simpson Desert. And the dunes this morning have been nothing but spectacular. The colours that were coming through, the redness, the blueness of the sky, but the amount of vegetation. Out here, for the last 3 years in the Simpson Desert, it's virtually been shut. So it's only really this season that it's actually been open. But the best part about being out here is we're actually experiencing what we believe is truly a chance to actually get out and enjoy the desert and what Australia has to offer us. It's funny enough, only 50 years ago, the desert was first crossed in a Nissan G60 Patrol. And to now think that we're out here and all these times and the amount of people and the hundreds of people that have crossed the desert since because of those people that have gone before us and made those explorations. It's just been a fantastic time, and the beauty about it is we're only day one into the desert with 2 or 3 days to go.
Guys, we're back out here in the Simpson Desert and we're sitting on the back of the car, and what a magnificent spot this is, looking at that wonderful blue sky and that red sand. Now, what we're going to talk about is running fridges. It's really important to have your fridge and have it set up properly. A couple of things you want to do is have your fridge properly controlled so it can't move and escape anywhere. This guy is an Engel, which is a great fridge. There's many other good fridges, but Engel's one I'm using today. We have a fridge slide, so as we've got access to it. Now that's really important. A couple of things you need to know. Fridges are heat pumps in reverse. If you have this all covered, all the back half of the fridge, in things like clothing and blankets and stuff, it can't breathe. It's not going to be able to dissipate the heat. It's not going to work. We've got a mesh thing up here. Got plenty of space around it, so when it goes in and out, tons of air space. Really, really important. Secondly, our fridge is retained properly. It can't get out and escape and hit us if we had an accident. And obviously, we've utilised the space to the best possible advantage by putting in one of these little 30-second kitchens on the side. I'll quickly show you how that works. 30-second kitchen, a kitchen in 30 seconds. Fridge slide first. Fridge slide's got 130 kilo tracks in it, so it's nice and tough. Remove the R-clip, don't lose it. Drop the pin, leg locker, kitchen out. Lock kitchen down here, retrieve the R-clip, lock on here, R-clip in. Leg here, pull them together, stove, billy. How good's that, guys? Couldn't ask for quicker.
We're travelling from west to east, which is what predominantly is known as a little bit of an easier route to do. Basically where we were all placed, it was easier to come this way. Predominantly from east to west is a little bit harder because of the way the winds flow across the top of the dunes. So therefore when we're coming across the dunes, when you're going from east to west, the dune is a lot longer, so therefore it's a shorter top side, so therefore you're breaking it. By coming the way we're coming down a steep side on the downward side. But coming either way is an experience that all of you need to be enjoying.
Now just a couple of quick things before we finish off this week's episode. The tyre we've chosen to run while we're on the Simpson Desert trip is this ATZ Mickey Thompson 4-rib. Now normally we're running a 35-inch TTC, an amazing tyre, but for the desert I wanted something that had a tighter tread pattern but still gave us a lot of benefits specifically for the sand. Now what I like about this ATZ 4-rib, first of all, it is a seriously tough tyre. Now back coming across some seriously rocky sections before we got into the Simpson Desert, we actually hit a major rock in the middle of the track and completely shattered one of the Nissan factory alloy rims. The big thing to come out of that incident was that the tyre was not damaged at all, it was the factory Nissan rim that was completely shattered. So running lower pressures but also running seriously tough tyres is definitely a must when you're out here in these sorts of terrains. Now the thing I like about this tyre specifically for sand is that it has a very nice square shoulder. This square shoulder is going to give us a lot of bite in the sand, but also give us fantastic steering properties across the tread face, even at low pressures. Being a very specific four-wheel drive design tyre, also when you lower the pressure, it doesn't so much bag out, it lengthens in the tread. So therefore you're getting a lot more traction whilst minimising any risk of damage to the sidewall. Now I've always been a big fan of mud tyres, and this tyre actually does have seriously aggressive shoulders. So whilst it is more of a closed-in pattern, it still has enough void, enough openings and enough of an aggressive shoulder to still give us plenty of traction in the loose stuff. And that's why the Mickey Thompson ATZ 4-rib is my choice for the Simpson Desert. Now before we finish up, there's one more thing I'd like to talk about. Now when you're out in these parts, carrying enough water is absolutely paramount. And because we've got to feed our crew, we've got to be carrying extra water. Now the guy spoke a little bit about water today, but I want to speak a little bit more before we finish up today's episode. We are carrying 50 litres plus in this vehicle, but it's hidden away in a very interesting spot. Behind the rear seat here in the Nissan Patrol, we've actually got a 50 litre float pack water bladder. Now the amazing thing is that float pack will sit in behind the seats here, and it nestles up against the drawer system. It's a space that you'd never use for luggage anyway. Because it's a flexible water bladder, it will actually fill the space it occupies to maximise your water carrying capacity. There's a vertical hose which makes it very easy to fill. There's also a horizontal hose down low which is fitted with a tap as an outlet. The pack is simple to use, it's easy, it sits low in the vehicle, so it maintains a low centre of gravity, it's inexpensive and they're easy to fit. Now on the back we've got a 20 litre jerry can. We can use that for washing our hands, but the float pack in here, we've got a simple hose and a tap. It's simple and easy to use, and that water is drinking water from Melbourne, so it's top class. Well viewers, that's it for this week's episode of Your 4x4. Thank you for tuning in, and please join us next week when we continue our Simpson Desert adventure, heading for Big Red. I'm Simon Christie, we'll see you next week.